Welcome back to Ultiworld's continuing live coverage of USA Goaltimate's national championships here in Round Rock, Texas. We've reached the semifinal round of the men's division. We have a dandy of a game for you on tap between Boston Boostin and Seattle Joe's Little Heroes. This is a rematch of two of last year's finalists here in the semifinal round. James, you were there for that game last year. What are we going to see from these two towns?
I sure was, and that was the first time in recent years that Seattle has taken the crown here. 14-5, they knocked Boston off the perch of 2 consecutive championships. They'll be looking to do that again. The personnel, however, is different this time around on Boston. Now going by Blueston in honor of Leo Blueston, a fellow Dartmouth grad of mine, joined by Andrew Pillsbury on this team. This Boston team has more of the younger 20-something crowd rather than the older Boston Ironside crowd that held down those championships those years.
We'll see if it makes a difference. If this is your first time joining us this weekend, Goaltimate is a little bit different than Ultimate Frisbee. A lot of the same rules, but scoring is accomplished by throwing the disc one way through the hoop to catch it within a parabola-shaped scoring area on the other side. Scoring attempts can only happen after the team with possession of the disc clears to a clear box on the opposite end of the field, which Seattle has just done. Seattle are wearing the vests out here. Boston are in the whites. Stalls can be counted from anywhere on the field. Subbing is live, a la hockey.
Wow.
And Seattle take their first scoring attempt of the game. Matty Russell looking for a blade over the top. It's unsuccessful.
You know, it's going to be so interesting seeing these two teams play because their throwing skills are so extraordinary that it's gonna really not show the viewer exactly how tough this wind is. These throwers really are that talented.
It's been gusty. As you started speaking that last sentence, it was blowing really hard, and by the time you finished, 10 seconds later, it had died down to a much more manageable 5 miles an hour or so.
Davis Whitehead about to shoot.
Comes just short of the cannonball, resets to Tyler Chan instead, and Chan sneaks it through 2 defenders to Whitehead at the back of the parabola. Nice shot as Boston are the first on the board. Boston clear it, begin their second scoring attempt here.
There still are some old Ironside players on this team. Alex Capinos, I remember when Capinos was considered new to the scene, as was I. So it'll be interesting to see.
Hammer attempt over 2 defenders goes nowhere as Seattle block it immediately. They get the clear and they'll go on the attack, look to even this game early. You don't want to dig yourselves into a hole. Any defense is going to capitalize on that and hold the line just as soon as they have a multi-goal lead. Seattle in good scoring position here. Don't have a window yet, they reset. They're close.
Wow.
Skying over 2 defenders after the tip for the goal. That is remarkable stuff from the Seattle offense. Let's see a replay of that as they knot it up at once.
I think the reason why the players were hesitating a little bit was just, hey, which foot landed first? Was it the outbound, outside of the goal, or the inbound one? As we look at this replay, it looks like both actually it might have been both at the same time. The left one was in. They're counting that as in.
Yeah, from where I had live, I thought I had a pretty good view. It looked like he got both feet in. Really well done, not just to get up over the defense, but to keep both feet down in that tiny area. Boston with the disc now on their attack, moving the disc very quickly here. Disc with Whitehead, leans over, bobbled catch makes the possession retain, but it's outside the end zone. No goal on that one, they reset. And a hand block from Matty Russell, not the first one of those in his career. Gets the disc back for Seattle.
Jacob Hobby canceled on that, but you know he'll get it back.
Seattle taking their time here, making sure the defenders are out of the zone before they throw any passes. You'll see them start to take risks in the goal area, be a little bit more measured on their way there. They do throw straight into the teeth of this wind. James, we saw a lot of this last round as well.
We did. I mean, we can't stop talking about it because it is something that has to be acknowledged. You know, the wind, I believe, is continuing to go in the same direction. We just saw a turnover on the right side of the field with a backhand that just sailed up a little bit high.
Tyler Chan, known for his elite club fakes, elects to just throw it on the first movement that time. Rising pass,
So
Whitehead brings it down to the goal area. What are they discussing at the front, though?
I think they're actually discussing whether Tyler traveled before he threw that, and I think that he did. That was the first thing that stuck in my mind, and yes, everything else after that was a goal, but, you know, that wrong doesn't make the goal right.
Good eye, James. Players indeed playing it as a travel. Chan attempts another one. He gets a sky from Capinos, brings it down outside the goal scoring area, no goal. Flying defense from Seattle there. Chan retains possession, resets to Capinos, and Chan with the Euro step backwards, tumbling and stumbling his way into the goal as Boston take a 2-1 lead.
Backwards Euro step. I mean, now I've seen it all, but I just love it, right? Just to explain for viewers that may not know what a Euro step is, it's a term in basketball to indicate sort of a scoring move where I guess one foot goes one direction and then the other goes in the other. It's probably the best explanation I can do right now. Andrew Pillsbury unable to slot that low, sneaky one through.
He tried to sort of squat down with a barbecue backhand release behind his hip there. Couldn't get it past the defense, though. Nifty play.
Have to shout him out for the jersey, though. Pain Train for life.
A lot of Pain Train love here in the booth. I'm becoming a Pain Train fan by the minute. Let's go Dartmouth. The goal is down as Chan gets tangled up with one of the Seattle players. Good citizens always, fixing the buckets.
Just some background for the viewers. So you may recall that yesterday's buckets that were holding down each kit were a little bit smaller. They're still in use. The only difference is now they are inside these larger Texas printed buckets, which just provides a little bit more of a base so that there can be a little bit more stability just to resist the wind. Obviously can't resist an impact, though.
Buckets on buckets here in Round Rock. If not in the number of goals scored, then at least what we're using to secure the arch. Whoa. Long pass is successful. That looked like a one-pointer live. Let's see the replay.
That was so smooth.
Not sure where the release was. We'll try to get confirmation on whether that was a one-pointer or two-pointer. Incredibly smooth backhand.
That was, I mean, just to throw that and, you know, through the teeth right down the middle, that's so cool, you know. That's really all I can say about that. That's the kind of throw that if you see it open, you got to do it, but is almost never open except for that one time.
Players confirmed that it was a one-pointer indeed, so that just evens the match. Still excellent throw from Seattle there to tie it up. Nifty clear catch. Boston on the attack. Whitehead to Hobby.
We also have a few Middlebury pranksters here. I believe Chris Wade as well, as who just passed a disc off Davis Whitehead.
More of a New England regional team than purely Boston's boost inside. What touch on that throw from Capinos. Sneaks past everybody. Slight bobble on the catch, but it catches, and Boston take a 3-2 lead.
You can see Pills really concentrating to make sure that he bobbles and catches, brings that disc all the way in.
Scuba clear from Seattle, looking to even it once again. So far, no team has scored more than 1 point before being answered back. It's been knock knock, who's there?
You know, I think both these teams definitely play a similar style. They pass it on stall 2. They are cutting and moving all the time. It'll just be who pulls off the philosophy a little bit better.
Boston were working hard those last few possessions, and you see them take advantage of a turnover to change out their entire line. Wholesale, all 4 players came off the field for 4 new ones. Deal me 3 more, please, dealer. Seattle on the right side of the field. Think about the centering pass and get crossed up on the reset. Give it right back to Boston.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of miscommunication turnovers on the last few points. Thrower thinking the receiver's going one way, and that was not the case. It's incredible sort of how much you have to predict.
A lot of contact there, but Hobby holding his ground and grabbing the disc before the defender can get it, but Seattle gets theirs by hand blocking him at the goal line.
Yeah, as we see this replay, just stuffed at the front. That's what you want as a defense.
Stuffing them like crusts at Pizza Hut. Seattle with the disc back now.
Wow.
Hammer attempt. Capinos picks it off, but immediately turns it back over.
That's the kind of throw that if there was no wind, that overhead would have gone there a heck of a ton faster, but into the wind, it's going to slow down half a second, and that's enough for our defense to just take it.
Into the wind, more rising throws. You see the receivers keep going up to get him. They're coming down with him sometimes. Not that time, though. Houston trying to get out from behind their own goal. They hold a 3-2 lead with 5 minutes left to play in this first of 2 periods. Nice elevator pass to get past 2 defenders there. Whitehead working well with...
That's Tyler Chan and Andrew Pillsbury, who has the disc right now, passes it off to Carter Dallin. So this is a tough Dartmouth Middlebury line out here.
A rare alliance in college.
Yeah, they all battled their hearts out in college and are now friends more than anything else afterwards.
They turn it over. Pillsbury stops the roll and gets set to play defense. Matty Russell with the disc for Seattle. Clears it out to the left side. Gets it back.
It's Casey Anderson who just passed the disc off, gets the disc back.
Anderson looking down the right side. Has an opening. Seattle not quite in scoring position yet. They're out a little too far wide.
Sam Harkness / Shark passes it away. Wow. Good job, Pills, to scoop that away.
Indeed. Good scoring attempt. We're down under the 4-minute mark. It's still 3-2 Boston. We haven't seen a score here in the last 3 minutes. Ned Dick comes down with a high one for Boston to keep possession. He's working with Capinos with some quick passes.
Ned Dick, national champion, correct? That round a few years ago, I
2019, won it right here at this complex. If anybody knows how to throw in the wind, it's Ned Dick. He made a living of it for 7 games in 2019, helping lead Brown to a championship. Played every point for that D-line, I believe. He works with Capinos again. No pressure from the defense yet. Tyler Chan comes on from a substitution from the sideline.
Wow, what a D there by Shark.
Showing his nickname by diving as quickly, darting through the air like it's water. He's got to keep moving, of course, so he stays alive, but so far so good for Sam Harkness. Boston electing on defense to overload the middle of the field, not over pursuing out wide. They'd rather Seattle stay out there. Seattle get close anyway. Nifty look from Matty Russell over the top, but the receiver isn't there for it.
You know, Edward, I feel like there's a point of being too close in Goaltimate, right, to the hoop. If you're a little bit too close, especially in a wind like this, you just don't even have the physical space to extend your arm for the kind of throw you might want. As we hear that 2-minute warning, and there's just going to be 7 or 8 bodies in the same space. Yeah, if you're a little bit too close, you might want to reset it by just moving a little bit backwards, as you might call a super dump or whatever. But just to get to a good position, this is a good one here.
That's right. Catches his own pass off the tip.
That was Chris Waite who caught that disc off the tip. Tries to go immediately back to the goal. Fortunately, it goes back to Seattle, who's going to take the disc.
90 seconds left here to play in the first half, or thereabouts. Good scuba to clear in one throw. Beat a double team there, trapped on the sideline. Boston collapsed all 4 of their defenders to try to squeeze Seattle into making a mistake, and it works. They get the mistake. Let's see if they can clear and double up Seattle before the end of this first half. Ned Dick working with Hobby. Davis Whitehead, stutter step. He has it, but the throw goes into the dirt.
That was the only throw he could have thrown there, and that was definitely the right thing to do. Cutter, unfortunately, just wasn't there at exactly that time.
We're now under a minute mark. Seattle have been trying to tie this game for the last 6 or 7 minutes. Harkness surveys the field, looks for Maddie, and it's another execution error.
Not going to help the clear zone, you know. Those are the places where you need 100% catches.
Knifing shot past all the defenders, couldn't find Dick in the goal area.
And as we hear the crowd go wild, I believe the that sideline player had caught it, and Bronx cheers, they say.
Get that out of here, says Tyler Chan. And that is how the half ends, with a great block. Boston take the lead and preserve it with a hard-nosed 7 straight minutes of tough defense. We will see if Seattle can start making a comeback here in the second half of USA Goaltimate National Champions. We've got a 1-point men's semifinal. We'll be back in 3 minutes after a quick break. See you on the other side.
Here's a quick set of answers to most commonly asked what-if questions. What happens if I catch a disc outside the goal, but my momentum carries me through? Offense maintains possession of the disc where their momentum stops, and play continues from there. The catch is ruled not a goal. What happens if I call a contested stall on someone?
4, 5, stall!
The count resumes at stalling 3.
Stalling 3, 4.
What happens if an offensive player throws the disc backwards through the goal? The other team gains possession at the place in which the disc comes to rest. If this is outside the field area, the disc comes in at the point at which the disc left the playing field. Goaltending. Defense is hard. And though it would be a lot easier if you could just hang out in the hoop, there's a no goaltending rule in Goaltimate. If a defensive player remains in the goal area or paint for more than 3 seconds without being within arm's length of any offensive player, that's goaltending.
Goaltending, goaltending, goaltending.
If goaltending is called in the defense,
Goaltending, goaltending, goaltending.
play stops, and the disc is placed at the break, the apex of the key area. If a defensive player guarding one player in the hoop sees another attacking offensive player and moves to guard them instead, this is not goaltending as long as the defender switch is under 3 seconds and is actively guarding the new receiver. Players may double team or triple team any player at any time, even in the goal area, if they are actively guarding an offensive player.
Welcome back to the second half of the men's semifinal between Seattle Joe's Little Heroes and Boston Booston. We're going to take a quick look at our men's bracket here. As you see, Boston and Seattle, a rematch of last year's champion on this side. On the other side, we've got San Diego versus Austin. Austin were on the stream yesterday with a brilliant performance to make it this far.
Edward, what do you think is the story of the game so far?
You know, I think the story of the game right now is the way Boston has managed to hold their lead. You've seen so much defensive discipline from them around the goal area. They're always collapsing 4 players to the center of the field, pushing Seattle out wide and making it so that any throw from Seattle to the scoring area has to go up high, where it's not only going to have to find the right path to the receiver, but also fight against the wind. And if Boston can stay disciplined, they're going to make it almost impossible for Seattle to come back.
Absolutely. You know, I saw both teams during halftime, and their huddles were very different, interestingly enough. Boston's was very engaged, very talkative, trying to figure out what to do. Seattle, on the other hand, just looked a little bit more relaxed, finished their huddle a little bit early, despite being down. I think kind of reflective of the sort of playing styles, personalities of these two teams. We'll see if Seattle can bring that in better than they tried to do on that one.
Yeah, we see an unforced error there as Booston get the disc. Not much action yet early in the second half. If you are Seattle and you see Boston continue to collapse defenders around the center of the goal area, how would you attack it to try to open up some space for yourself?
That's a great question, Edward. You got to keep moving the disc, and you got to keep moving as cutters. And I think the latter is, I mean, they're both important. The latter is probably even more important just because you get into the habit of ball watching. You know, everyone does. Everyone loves throwing. Everyone feels like they are vital to sort of stay around the disc. But, yeah, you just got to keep both disc and person moving at all times.
Good possession there from Boston, ends the bad way as Thalon gets hand blocked. He and Ned Dick come take subs. That might have even been a wholesale change for Boston as they move on to defense. Rare defensive substitution. Seattle with it now, looking to attack. They haven't had a good possession yet this second half in terms of setting up a scoring opportunity. We see a pick there in the middle of the field. Joe's Little Heroes. Disc with Casey Anderson there, working with Sam Harkness. Moving around the outside, trying to play patient. They're not down by a lot, one goal. That's just one throw that could even the score here. So no hurry at this point. Matty Russell tries the no-look pass. That's one way they could do it. Hits the pole and falls harmlessly to the ground.
Yeah, just to, you know, look away and try to get all defenders thinking, hey, you know, I'm looking towards the backhand side. Everyone key in on that while you throw something else. It's a good move. You can pull it off.
Yeah, he beat 4 of Boston's defender, but the ever-present 5th defender, the pole, got all of that one.
Undefeated.
Undefeated. Whitehead's high release backhand falls to the ground, giving Seattle almost a clear. They finish it with a short pass, working up the left side of the field, trying to find a centering pass, and Ned Dick flies in for a layup block to erase that possession.
Unreal, and just gets up and is already on the sideline, stays off the sideline. I mean, why not? You know, you've done your job. You've generated that D on that shift.
Yeah, laid out right by the substitution box and could just roll himself off the rest of the way to give himself a break after that effort. Capino's scooper picked off the ground.
Throws it to Pills, who then throws it from the ground. Unfortunately, the turn happens on that one.
A little bit of conservation of greatness comes into play there. Pills, you got to be a little more judicious with your great plays next time. Seattle on the attack.
Hunter Gibson with the disc.
They elect to substitute.
Hunter.
An incredibly visionary shot upwind, uses the wind to let the throw sit in time for the receiver to run onto it. That is how you tie the game, ladies and gentlemen.
Incredible, that throw and go. To know that that space is open, because you see it as a thrower, right? You have the disc, you see what's open, and you just take it yourself because who else is going to do it? Take the game into your own hands.
Yeah, leading the receiver to the space, completely thrower initiated, and crucially, knowing how long he had to have that throw stay in order to give the receiver time to get there. Well done. We now have a 3-3 game with just under 11 minutes remaining in the game.
Just to explain it early, I don't believe we've had any sudden death games on the stream yet, but the rules, if or when it gets to that, as some games otherwise in the bracket have done that today, is that play continues, but both teams drop one player. So it's 3v3, sudden death for whichever team scores first.
We see another wholesale change from Boston on defense as Seattle pick up the disc. This is a new strategy in subbing that I've yet to see this weekend. They may have to make sure they have time not to give up a quick strike goal, but bringing in fresh legs on defense could pay dividends. They're getting blocks this game.
They sure are.
Seattle working it up the left side, trying to figure out where the trap is going to come into play and where Boston is going to elect to match up. Using early kind of half-serious fakes to see when the defense is going to move. They're working their resets. Well defended, and no choice but to punt there. It's a punt inside the goal. If there had been a receiver there, it might have been a scoring attempt. As it is, it's just a good way to change possession.
I think exactly what you said there, right? If there was a receiver there, that would have been great. In Goaltimate, sometimes that's good enough. Sometimes that's what you do. You know, you throw that, and as we talked about yesterday, you'll do that, especially if you're playing with a new team, to show the receiver, hey, next time somehow get to that spot. That's exactly what we need from you, and that's how we'll be able to score.
Dick hanging out in the backfield right now, working with Whitehead. Nowhere to go as two handler defenders set up a wall. Boston clear one of their handlers out to move the defense. They had a good attempt there, but Dick's attempt totally hand blocked there.
That's canceled by Hunter Gibson there on that hand block.
Yeah, great play by Gibson to get a hand all over that. Seattle, if they can get this clear, which as they sub Harkness on is looking a bit tricky. They get there with a push pass. They can get this clear. They can take their first lead of the game. So far it's been Boston making the first step and Seattle having to answer. This time Seattle could put Boston in the position of having to come back.
You got to imagine that this next goal, whoever gets it, is going to be so pivotal for this game, right? I mean, look, we're about 8 minutes left. Sledding is tough. Whoever has that, you know how they talk about win probability these days, sort of in the NFL and different things, and they get analytics to calculate how win probability changes as different things happen in the game. I think this next goal will change it quite a bit.
Seattle still with possession here. They're doing a good job, and a brilliant cannonball from Harkness gets his feet up off the ground before he makes the catch and swings them across the goal line for a spectacular score. Seattle have taken a 4-3 lead, and they have the momentum, James.
That was incredible. I saw that goal with my own eyes from the vantage point looking exactly at the pole, and he caught that. He was in the air, caught that disc, pulled both the disc and his body all the way underneath the hoop so that there was no dispute that that was a goal. Great job by Shark.
Harkness with the play of the game so far to give Seattle the lead. Now we're in what would be the fourth period if we played by quarters instead of halves. We're more than halfway through the second half. Disc with Harkness here. Seattle could add another and really make Boston's comeback attempt hard. Boston have 4 defenders in a diamond shape. Nobody in the goal yet. There's no receiver there. But Seattle sends 2 right as I say that. The throw misses. They're behind it. They're trying to reset back. Harkness with the disc.
As you see the Seattle team, they do not hesitate. They know they didn't get in. They continue to work.
Seattle still with possession here. They managed to sub during the reset process and then finally gave it up. It's hard to stay strong through those long possessions around the goal.
It really is, and I saw a little screening right there on the last possession, and it made me realize that with these teams, they don't set a ton of intentional screens that I have seen, just because they sort of move so quick and throw so quick into small spaces. Yeah, it just might be, you know, another variable that isn't worth implementing into their strategy.
Boston looking to tie the game up here. They sent one cutter back, but he was pursued quickly by a defender. They have one in isolation. Casey Anderson doing his best to stay within arm's reach. You see him hold that arm out to make sure there's no goaltending. We see a post-up move there from the Boston receiver. Davis Whitehead leans over, has Capinos. It's a little too far, even with the layout attempt.
Yeah, that's another one of those situations in which that was the open throw at the time. That was the open spot. Unfortunately, the execution led it being a little too far for Capinos to get there.
Seattle now trapped here as they try to get out from the own goal. Look for the downwind hammer. Valiant effort from a catch there by Hunter Gibson, but it glances off its fingertips Only another yard or so to go for the clear for Boston. They work it around.
That's such a tough catch to try to make, right? With the hammer coming in towards you, downwind, as it just drops like a bullet.
Yeah, the wind is pushing it down vertically as well as faster towards you all at once. Chan with an impressive grab attempt of his own, but again, it comes up shy. These conditions are tough. We are down under the 5-minute mark, hurtling toward the 4-minute mark, and Boston still need to tie this game up.
You know, the way both these teams play also, they've got to be incredibly conditioned, because the way that they play, they're just moving all the time, running at almost at max or close to max acceleration. That's why you see them sub so frequently. It's also just sort of interesting, right, in terms of how if these players are playing club, we are about to start the club season in some communities, yet for them to have top conditioning, not all of their peers are at this point in the calendar.
So we see Ned Dick sniff out Matty Russell's around attempt throw, giving Boston the disc back. Boston with a chance to tie here. Pillsbury keeping control of the disc. And that is a score to tie the game. Front door cut right across the goal line. Great job to make sure to hang on, and that pass perfectly in the breadbasket.
Carter Thalen to Leo Blueston, Tufts to Dartmouth. Never would have thought it, but did a great job of seeing the cutter through the open front door.
Boston can now take the lead. Scuba attempt knocked away easily, though. That was far too low to find success today. Tie game, 3 minutes to go. We'll see which of these teams can return to the final after they were both there last year. Gibson getting Joe's Little Heroes up toward about midfield. They haven't made any progress beyond that. Fantastic defense from Whitehead to knock the disc away from Seattle there. Casey Anderson didn't have a way to get to the disc in time.
3 players for Boston subbing off.
Ned Dick not clear on that scuba catch, but flips it across to a milking Tyler Chan. Pillsbury with the disc. Low flick attempt. It's a little too low. You have to think maybe another 6 inches there. Dick would have had a layout attempt.
Yeah, but you know, like, was it possible for the thrower to you know, add or subtract those 6 inches? Like, it's so tough execution-wise. I genuinely don't know.
Unfortunate turn there from Seattle as their receiver pulled up thinking he was out of bounds. He was actually only at the white line, which are not the lines for this tournament. He still had another 2 yards to go to get to the red and could have made it play on that disc. Boston back with it here on the attack. Seattle doing a good job keeping them wide and far. Got to think no good looks. Looked like a lot of contact there. Tyler Chan is calling a foul on Matty Russell. They're talking about it. What do you see here, James?
So what I see here is Matty pretty clearly backpacking Tyler as they're both in the air. I don't see how it's not a foul, even though we did hear a loud "what" call on the field.
They play it as a foul, but Capino zigs, Chan's throw zags, and Booston give up the disc to Seattle anyway. Chan gets it right back. Boston with another opportunity. This might be it. If they can score here, they could probably hold out the game. It's going to be tough going upwind. With under 1 minute to play, 4-4 game, Ned Dick and Tyler Chan working in the backfield, keeping it small, trying to keep their team out of sudden death territory. Seattle desperately trying to keep it in sudden death territory. They have to be thinking no scores at any cost at this point.
Good call for Tyler to sub out there.
Boston get the disc into scoring range. Floater of a reset pass, and that's the end of the game. We are in sudden death. James, what happens now?
So what happens, and the reason why I'm hesitating is I'm not sure whether to tell the players as they're hesitating or whether to tell the viewers. I'm going to do the latter. Each team drops 1 player, sudden death, whoever scores first.
3-on-3 as we see Casey Anderson and Ned Dick come off the field. Boston retain possession. Here we are. This is for a ticket to the final. Can Seattle come up with a block? Can Boston hold strong and score this disc? Players resetting their position, and we have the tap in. Pillsbury with the disc. 3-on-3. This is magic. Whitehead with the low backhand. Looking for Thallen. Harkness fouls him on the receiver. No contest there.
Yeah, I mean, both of them going horizontal. There's going to be some contact. There was there, and this goes back.
Caught but not in. Momentum carried him out of the goal. Matty Russell with the tip. Whitehead comes up with the catch anyway. Sneaks a throw in. Pillsbury catches it behind the goal area. Players in Seattle are saying there was a stall called. They are discussing it. Whitehead telling them, no, I think I got the throw off.
Yeah, you know, just by the feeling, it must have been a fast count. I'm not, it felt like there's enough time there, whether the stall was fast.
And that's how they're playing it. They're playing it as a retention of possession. Boston still with the disc. There's so much more space on the field when each team loses a player. We're going to see more scoring windows. Much more important to play great matchup defense, which Harkness does. Pillsbury makes the catch, though, no goal.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure is getting to these players, right? There's a little bit more space, but it's just all the more important, every single inch.
Good cut there by Chan. And he goes to the back of the parabola, up to the pocket. Pillsbury fires a strike in there, and that's the game in sudden death. Boston defeat Seattle 5-4 after a marathon of a possession. What a game, James.
What a game. This is why we are here, to see this. Look at this replay. Seattle was just asleep at the wheel. No one over there at the front of that Tyler side of the hoop, and what's he going to do but just do a clap catch?
He earned that spike. Tyler Chan, last second, squirting around the parabola like a deranged water bug, finally gets free at that front cone inside the pocket. That is how it ends. Booston are on to the final, where they will face the winner of San Diego and Austin. This has been a hell of a sudden death game. For James Kim, I'm Edward Stevens. Stick with us. We still have more coverage from USA Goaltimate National Champions.